You call comfort what is actually domesticated cowardice. You dress your complacency up as peace, but I see and I say this without pity that it is fear. You live to avoid the abyss, when everything in you was born of chaos. You want security, but security is an altar where you sacrifice your own power. Tell me, how many times have you stopped yourself from acting, from speaking, from moving, just so as not to disturb the status quo? How many ideas have you buried alive because they seemed too dangerous for the small garden of your routine? You are not protected, you are locked up. Look, free spirit, there is no comfort zone. There is a control zone, and it was not built by you. It was given to you, inherited, injected like sweet poison since childhood. Don't go there. It's dangerous. Stay here. It's safe. Do what everyone else does. It's the right thing to do. Lies repeated with the tone of morality. But the morality of the herd is the art of reducing instincts until man becomes tame. That's what you've become. Functional. A docile servant of normality. Your suffering, it screams every time you dream too big and sabotages you before you even try. Every time you feel anger towards those who dare to be more than you allow yourself to be. Every time your freedom throbs but you tighten the belts of habit. Oh, don't look at me like that, as if I were the executioner of your peace. I am your chance. Because that pain you feel when you hear the truth, that anguish of being exposed, is the birth of the spirit. You came here, to this cave, thinking you would find comfort. I don't offer comfort, I offer clarity, and clarity hurts. But it doesn't kill. What kills is continuing to live a life that isn't yours. Do you know why you feel empty, even when surrounded by comfort? Because your spirit is a warrior who has been forced to live as a slave, and the numb warrior begins to turn against himself. Your self-judgment, your anxiety, your cycles of self-sabotage, all of these are vital instincts that, forbidden to act outwardly, rot inside. The comfort zone is the denial of your tragic nature, and the tragic nature of man is to create from pain, to dance on the edge of the abyss, to love risk as one loves life. But you don't take risks, you protect yourself, and the more you protect yourself, the more fragile you become. You live as if you could avoid the fall. But everything great is born only in impact. Children learn to walk because they are willing to fall. Artists reveal themselves because they expose themselves to rejection. The spirit is ennobled because it accepts trials as a crucible. Your fear of making mistakes is your deepest prison. It is not the fall you fear, it is judgment, the gaze of others, the laughter of others, the disapproval of others. You don't live for yourself. You live on the invisible leash of others' acceptance. But I am here to remind you, no one who dared to create something new was accepted right away. The creator is always the foreigner, the heretic, the stranger, because they threaten the collective comfort zone. When you start to change, everyone around you feels afraid, and they try to pull you back. They say you're different, selfish, conceited, but it's a lie. The truth is that you are no longer useful to their mediocrity. Do you still want to please them? Then stay small. Stay predictable. Keep saying yes when you mean no. Keep dimming your lights so you don't outshine anyone else. But know this, every time you do that, the world doesn't become more peaceful, it becomes more fake, and you become more bitter. Stop protecting yourself. What you call avoiding conflict is actually avoiding life. Conflict is the dying breath that shatters masks. Chaos is the fertile soil where authenticity is born. You need to destroy the version of yourself that was molded to be accepted. You need to kill the old self so that the new can be born. This is the necessary collapse. The collapse of the comfort zone is the birth of the creator. But for that, it takes courage. Not the romantic courage of an idealized hero. I'm talking about tragic courage, the kind that knows it will bleed, that it will fall, that it will lose, and yet it goes on. Because there is something worse than failure. It is never having tried. It is dying with untapped potential, with words left unsaid, with dances left undanced. You say you're tired, but it's not from doing too much, it's from holding back too much. Your vital energy is stagnant. Your will to power is chained to promises of stability. But nothing is stable. Life is flow. It is transformation. What does not change, rots. And you are beginning to feel this rot in the form of boredom, chronic anxiety, despair disguised as routine. And so, free spirit, are you ready to break free? Are you ready to die to the domesticated version of yourself and be reborn as something untamable, Or will you continue to protect yourself until there is nothing real left inside you? If you've come this far, it's because something in you is already collapsing. Something inside you is already rebelling against the sterile security you've been promised. Listen to that rebellion. It is your cry for life. And if you dare, if you have the courage to go through the pain without numbing yourself, you will discover that the discomfort zone is actually your true home. Because there, in the risk, in the uncertainty, in the exposure, you will rediscover your wild soul. And now I invite you, tear off your armor, expel the ghosts of what if, touch the abyss with your bare feet. Write in the comments below, not an outburst, but an act of rebellion, a no more, to a lukewarm life. Tell me, what comfort zone are you willing to destroy today? You want change, but you don't want risk. You want freedom, but you fear giving up your comfortable prison. That is the knot that strangles you. You desire greatness, but you live according to the logic of restraint. You go around in circles, not because you lack strength, but because you are overly cautious. You don't move because you are eternally waiting for the world's permission. You wait for someone to tell you, now it's safe, now you can live. But that permission will never come, because the truth is brutal. No one is going to save you. No one is going to push you over the precipice of transformation. That decision is yours, yours alone. Look at your daily life with the eyes of an executioner. How many choices do you make to protect yourself from pain? How many no's do you swallow to keep up appearances? How many desires do you stifle with respectable excuses? You say you have priorities, that you are strategic, that you need to be rational. But I hear the truth behind the words. Fear. Fear of rejection, of making mistakes, of being ridiculous. Fear of not being able to sustain what you dare to desire. And so you return to your golden cell, close the door with zeal, and call it maturity. But there is no maturity in cowardly surrender. Growing up is not about accepting less, it's about demanding more from yourself. And true demand begins when you decide to stop running away from discomfort, running away from judgment, running away from the tension that comes when you choose to tell the truth. You think you're being mature by avoiding conflict, but you're just being weak, because it takes much more strength to sustain a no than to keep pleasing others. Much more courage to stand up for your differences than to blend in with mediocrity. You want to change, but you're waiting for the fear to go away. And that will never happen. Fear doesn't go away. It must be faced. It is always in the midst of the fire that the spirit reveals its form. There is no clarity before collapse. Life demands a leap before the bridge. Power only awakens when there is no escape route. That's why you need to create ruptures. You need to provoke chaos. Destabilize the comfort zones that have been protecting you from your own truth. Think of all the times you said yes when you wanted to shout no. Think about the relationships you've sustained just because you were afraid of being alone. The careers you've pursued because you were afraid of failing at another. The silences you've cultivated so as not to be disliked. None of this is prudence. It's self-betrayal. And every self-betrayal leaves a trail of ashes in the soul. You feel this trail every time you look in the mirror and don't recognize yourself. Every time you succeed and still feel empty. Because the success you have within your comfort zone is the triumph of the character, not the creator. You say, this is who I am, but that's a lie. This is how you are. You have been trained, conditioned, molded to fit. What you call personality is often just stabilized trauma, a reflection of fear crystallized into habit. The child you were learned that being spontaneous was dangerous, that being intense caused punishment, that being authentic drove love away, and that child built walls that you now call temperament, prudence, common sense. But those walls don't protect you, they prevent you from growing. The collapse of your comfort zone begins when you realize that you are not the one inhabiting your life. Fit is a tamed specter, a minimally acceptable version that was created to survive, not to live. And as long as you insist on protecting yourself, you will be preventing the birth of your true self. And the real, my dear, is uncomfortable. It is contradictory. It is excessive. The real you is Dionysus, dance, fire, instinct. And you locked him in a basement, calling what is actually institutionalized fear a balanced ego. You run away from anything that could break you. But I ask you, who said that being broken is bad? Who said that falling apart is failure? What cowardly ideology sold you that lie? I'll tell you, herd culture, the morality of the weak, the religion of stability, These are the great factories of mediocrity. They taught you to avoid falling, because they know that it is in falling that the spirit is liberated. They need you to remain intact, so that you remain predictable, useful, functional. But the soul only grows when it shatters its previous form. The caterpillar dies, so that flight is possible. And the spirit that protects itself from collapse is actually protecting itself from the miracle of transfiguration. Stop protecting yourself. Embrace the fall. As part of the ascent, embrace discomfort as a school for the spirit. Pain is the baptism of those who dare to be more. And now listen to me carefully. This is the part where many back down. But you're not going to back down, are you? Because here, I offer you an invitation, a challenge, a pact with your own wildness. Choose a symbolic act of destruction, something that represents a break with your comfort zone, something that announces to the world and to yourself that the spirit that inhabits your body will no longer be held captive. Write this pact in the comments. A gesture, a break, an action you've been putting off, not for others to see, but for you to see. Because only those who commit themselves to the abyss begin to be worthy of their own wings. You think you are protecting yourself from the world, but what you are really trying to avoid ... is yourself. The outside world is just a mirror. The real confrontation, what you fear more than death, is with what hides in your own underground. And there it is, the monster you tamed to fit in, locked away in the name of stability, learned to deny in order to be accepted. But there is no stability in self-denial. There is only suffering disguised as routine. There is only an emptiness that screams silently, begging for collapse. Your comfort zone is not just physical, nor is it just mental. It is above all moral. It is a web of inherited values, internalized without criticism, disguised as virtues. You call humility what is fear of standing out. You call empathy what is dependence on approval. You call compassion what is inability to impose limits. You call patience what is paralysis disguised as serenity. These are all masks. Masks that the instinct of morality created to contain vital power. The genealogy of your comfort zone reveals something uncomfortable. It is the offspring of the morality of the weak, of the morality of the resentful, of the morality of slaves. Those who, unable to assert their strength, created values that protected them from themselves, and from all who dared to be more. And you, free spirit, were educated in this system. You learned that being good meant being obedient, that being accepted was more important than being true, that avoiding conflict was a sign of maturity. It is not. It is a sign of fear. It is a sign of castration. You live trying to avoid being judged. But have you realized who judges you the most? Yourself, your inner judge, fed by doctrines, dogmas, rules, and expectations that are not yours. You watch yourself all the time. You punish yourself in silence. You sabotage yourself when you could assert yourself. The fear of external judgment is just a reflection of the court you keep inside yourself. And that court was inherited. You have become your own executioner. The problem is not suffering. The problem is that you suffer for causes that are too small. You suffer for trying to keep up appearances, for trying to fit in, for trying to sustain a self that was molded to please others. But the pain that liberates that you avoid, the pain that comes from true choice, the pain of breaking, the pain of confrontation, that is the sacred pain, the pain that transforms. But to feel it, you must break through the moral wall, have so carefully constructed. And now, traveler, I want to question you. Yes, I Nietzsche not only speak, but question, because the moment of the mirror has arrived, and the mirror, for me, is a hammer. So listen, and don't run away. Do you really believe that you are tired, ... Or are you just bored of living a life below what it could be? How many decisions in your life have been guided by the fear of rejection? How many times have you chosen the safe path, and now feel a bitter taste when you remember? How many truths have you swallowed to keep the love of someone who didn't even see you? You say you're afraid of failure, but isn't it worse to fail yourself, every single day, in silence? You fear criticism, but isn't the praise you receive for playing a character even more humiliating? You run away from conflict, but what about the conflict you live with inside, the one you go to sleep with every night and wake up with every morning? You say you want freedom, but can you handle the responsibility of creating your own values? You say you want to change, but are you willing to lose everything you've built on lies? These questions aren't rhetorical. They are ropes thrown into the abyss of your soul. Grab one, any one, and hold on. Because the journey now is vertical. Up or down, it depends on your courage. And courage here is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to continue betraying yourself. I know what you fear. You fear being seen. You fear being exposed. You fear being hated. You fear being abandoned. But what you haven't realized yet is that you are already alone. You are already exposed. You are already invisible, precisely because you hide. Your comfort zone has erased you. You have become neutral, and no one loves neutral. No one falls in love with something that has no contours. No one admires someone who has never dared. But the soul wants form. It wants expression. It wants intensity. It wants to dance without asking for a song. It wants to bite without apologizing. It wants to contradict itself without justifying itself. That soul is already screaming inside you, and you silence it with mantras of productivity, with deadlines and goals, with career plans and formal relationships. But the soul does not bow to spreadsheets. It rebels. And when you try to silence this rebellion with distractions, with shallow pleasures, with consumption, with pasteurized spirituality, it screams louder. It screams with insomnia. It screams with anxiety. It screams with the secret desire to explode everything. Understand, there is no cure in restraint. There is only postponement, and every postponement charges interest. You are paying with your vitality, your enthusiasm, your passion. The comfort zone is the land of neutralization, and those who live neutral are, in fact, dead. Destroying the comfort zone is not an impulsive act. It is a rite of passage. It is an inner revolution, and every revolution has a price. You will lose friendships. You will lose status. You will lose the love of those who loved only your obedience. But do you know what you will gain? Yourself. And that is everything. It is the beginning of everything. Now that you are beginning to see what lies behind your comfort zone, this armor built with fear, resentment, and a desire for control, you are also beginning to see the extent of the damage it has caused. Everything you avoided, postponed, silenced, sabotaged, stifled, left marks of lives not lived. Loves you didn't have the courage to live. Ideas you failed to create. Courage you felt but hid. Desires that burned inside you, but you poured cold water on because you didn't know what others would think. Today, you are the graveyard of all your aborted versions. Yes, I am cruel, but I am cruel like a surgeon who cuts to save. You need truth, not comfort. You need a mirror that shows you, without filters, how much of your existence has been guided by denial. You call comfort zone something that is actually a slow process of desertion from yourself. You abandoned your potential. You abandoned your possibilities. You have even abandoned the risk of feeling alive, all to maintain the fragile castle of normality. But that normality is crumbling. I see the cracks. You no longer sleep peacefully. You are no longer satisfied with compliments. You are no longer moved by rewards. There is a silent frustration growing, like weeds, in the cleanest corners of your routine. You feel like you're betraying something, and you are. You're betraying yourself. And now I want you to face the most harmful consequence of your comfort zone: resentment. Yes, resentment. This disease of the soul that corrodes in silence. It arises when you bury your power, but continue to see the world move on. You see the daring win, the creative emerge, the instinctive reveal themselves, and you feel anger. Not overt anger, a cold anger, criticism disguised as opinion, a polite contempt, a slight irony. Because every time someone embodies what you buried, you poison yourself with living proof that you could have been more. Resentment is the most direct offspring of the comfort zone. It needs to believe that risk is a sin, that the daring are arrogant, that the free are irresponsible, that the creative are immature. Because if they don't believe that, they will have to look at themselves and admit, I was the one who abandoned myself. But that hurts, and that's why they defend themselves by attacking. They attack what shines. They attack what dances. They attack what breaks. And you, free spirit, how many times have you worn that mask? How many times have you disguised your frustration with cynicism? How many times have you used intelligence as a shield to avoid exposing yourself? How many times have you praised someone on the outside, but hated them on the inside, just because they dared to be what you didn't have the courage to be? It takes courage to admit this, and I'm here to give you that courage. Because recognizing resentment is the first step to killing it. And resentment only dies when you break out of your comfort zone. When you stop protecting yourself and start asserting yourself. When you exchange fear for presence, caution for risk, shame for desire. But that requires something you've been avoiding for a long time: losing control. Yes, losing. Because your comfort zone is, first and foremost, a control system. You try to control the image others have of you, control your emotions, control the timing of everything, control your impulses, control the results. But life, real, creative, tragic, and wonderful life, begins where control ends. You need to lose control to rediscover your instincts. You need to fail to find your style. You need to make mistakes, and big ones, to start creating something real. And you won't find that in your comfort zone, because there's no room for mistakes there. There's no room for ugliness. There's no room for wildness. But you are all of those things, and if you don't express them, you'll get sick. And that's what's happening to you. You're getting sick from holding back. Your illnesses are messages. Your boredom is a cry. Your anxiety is rebellion. Your dissatisfaction isn't pretentiousness. Your soul screaming that it wasn't born to fit in. But I need to be even clearer with you, because there's something you still don't understand. Your comfort zone is the biggest obstacle to your strength. It's where your will to power rots away. It's where you trade greatness for approval, creation for security, freedom for function. And that is why you need to destroy, not adjust, not revamped, not redesign. Destroy. Destroy that internal system of breaks you call common sense. Destroy the tamed self-image you built to be accepted. Destroy the emotional vocabulary of victim, of the offended, of the fearful. Because only in destruction is the new born. Self-improvement is not a linear construction. It is a fire. And you need to allow it to burn what holds you back. Burn the beliefs of scarcity. Burn the guilt. Burn the need to be understood. Burn the need to be understood. The illusion that there is a right way. There is no right way. There is only your way, and it only appears when you step on it. But you need to step on it. And now, free spirit, tell me, what are you still trying to save? What part of your old life do you still believe you can carry into the new one? What do you still protect as if it were essential, but deep down, is just fear by another name? Stop now, take a deep breath, and see. Excessive protection is always a form of self-doubt. Those who protect themselves too much do so because they believe, deep down, that they won't be able to handle it, that they won't survive the impact, that they can't handle rejection. But you can handle it. You can handle it, and you need it, because it is in that impact that you awaken. Enough of surviving. Enough of protecting yourself. Enough of trading your freedom for crumbs of approval. Now that we have burned away false certainties, exposed the lies of comfort, and let resentment show its true face, only one question remains: the most honest, the most savage, the most essential. What will you do with your freedom? Yes, because now you are naked. The moral veneer has fallen away. Your fears are no longer hidden. The excuses have been blown away. You are left standing before the void. And the void is beautiful, because it is the space of the Creator. It is there that the strong spirit begins to build the new. The Creator is the one who says, I refuse to be continuity. I am rupture. But, make no mistake, true freedom is not euphoria. It is not lightness. It is not peace. It hurts. It wounds. It demands. Because there is no one else to blame. There is no structure to support your insecurities. There is no manual. Real freedom is not a prize, it is a burden, and few can bear it. Most, upon arriving here, retreat, and they retreat with beautiful speeches. It wasn't the right time. I needed to mature more. I'll prepare myself better. All lies. What you feel now is dread at no longer having anyone to tell you what to do. Your comfort zone offered you a place in the world. Now you need to create your own. You've listened to me this far, but don't think that listening is enough to set you free. Words are just sparks. You need the flame. You need action. You need a symbolic gesture, one that marks the death of the old and the birth of the new. Nietzsche wasn't meant to be read. He was meant to be lived. And what does it mean to live Nietzsche? It means rejecting all forms of morality that paralyze you. It means saying yes to life, including suffering, failure, and loneliness. It means abandoning hope as a crutch and accepting your burden as your master. It means affirming chaos, contradiction, impulse. It means, above all, becoming a creator of values. Are you ready for that? Because the Creator lives in permanent collapse. He knows that there is no eternal structure. He lives like someone dancing on the edge of an abyss. He does not seek shelter. He seeks expression. His security lies in his power to transform. His stability lies in his own instability. He does not repeat, he reinvents, he breaks, he starts over. And you, free spirit, who has come this far, are you willing to be that creator? Are you willing to abandon the comfort of collective understanding? Are you willing to be misunderstood, attacked, excluded? Are you willing to lose everything that is stable to live what is true? Because that is the price. You cannot want the new while keeping the old around. You cannot want freedom without paying with your old identity. You cannot want power without bleeding. You cannot want authenticity without giving up belonging. And maybe, right now, you feel afraid. And that's okay. Feel it, honor it. Fear is a sign that you are close to something big, that something alive is moving inside you. Fear is proof that your spirit is still alive. But don't bow down. Fear can no longer be your master. From today onwards, you must be the master of your own existence. And that requires more than courage. It requires loyalty. Loyalty to yourself, to your highest impulses, to your most dangerous vision, your most transgressive intuition, even when everyone abandons you, even when you doubt yourself, even when everything seems like a mistake. Because mistakes, my friend, are part of the journey. A strong spirit does not avoid mistakes, it uses them. Mistakes are clay. They are matter. They are sketches. Mistakes are the mark that you are alive, trying, creating. They are the opposite of paralysis. Mistakes are the price of daring, and you must learn them as a sculptor learns marble. By breaking it, you now have a choice. Not whether to follow Nietzsche, but whether to follow yourself, because Nietzsche is not a destination, he is a bridge, a lever, a flash of insight. Your destination is you, your creation, your life, your values, your form, and no one can do that for you. That is why I do not offer you comfort. I offer crisis. I offer vertigo. I offer the birth of a life without a manual, without guarantees, without molds, but deeply yours. You can no longer go back, not without carrying the shame of having known the truth and preferred the lie. The herd is still there, ready to welcome you back with warm hugs, safe rewards, and the sweet anesthesia of routine. But you've seen it, you've felt it, you've broken it. You are no longer one of them. You are now one of us, a free spirit, a tragic warrior, a creator. And to you I leave, not advice, but a command. Create. Don't ask for permission. Don't wait until you're ready. Don't seek approval. Create. From pain, from doubt, from tension. Create. Because that is living. And now, standing before this abyss, I no longer ask you what you fear. I ask you, what are you willing to lose to become who you were born to be? Tell us in the comments, not out of vanity, but as an act of consecration. Say, what will be the first gesture of your creative destruction? Your comfort zone is dead. Now, all that remains is to be born, but this time, of your own free will. And if this video tore you apart, create a comment on what you are going to destroy, because only those who burn what was are reborn worthy of what can be.